Girl, yeah, and I was like, should I sign up again? Because this is hard.
Yeah.
And I don't think people talk about that creatively when you start. Like, it's not necessarily easy.
And you know what? I feel like sometimes I hear people talk about this, like where you're drawing your creativity from, and like 2020, I had nothing to draw from. Like it was.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Expectations, right? So
yeah.
What were your expectations coming into this? And then I want to go into 2020 because you're like, I had nothing to draw from.
Yeah. Okay, so briefly, let me start back when I started with like Marley. Like when
Marley shot the first episodes. Marley's a friend of ours.
About the first 6,
okay.
Which it's not up anymore. They're like private episodes,
which I kind of like them, but I don't.
Yeah, and you were in some of them.
I was in one. I was dropping heat. I'm just kidding.
I think what I would really like to do is like later when I'm much more confident is like bringing them back.
Yeah,
as like this was my first episode ever.
Throwbacks.
But I remember I had a very clear plan from the beginning. Like I was having these conversations, and this was like at the peak of like my woke season.
Really?
Like,
okay.
I grew, because I've
explain to people who have no idea what woke is.
Okay, so like woke is like, to Black culture, I would say, I'm using specifically Black culture, is when you're not aware, you're asleep to everything that's the reality of Black life in America. And woke is when you're having these like epiphanies or when you start realizing what the reality is.
Right.
And so I grew up in a white family. I grew up in a white household and a white community. And so
because your mom is white,
my mom is white.
Dad is Black.
Yeah, my dad is Black, and I actually didn't meet my dad until like 2 years ago.
Wow.
And so like my sister and I, we had a very whitewashed version with like kind of like we're past racism. We have a Black president. Oprah's famous, one of the richest women in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry to laugh. I mean, it's just,
what are we struggling for anymore? Like, thinking slavery was so long ago. And so anyways, so when I had moved out, I think in high school I started to really realize, because a lot of my friends were Black, and I experienced very blatant racism. And so let me speed this along. So basically a couple of years ago, I was in like the deep, like I'm becoming woke. Like I was just sitting here like, like I was
starting to realize everything that was going on.
Exactly. I started educating myself, and I started entering into these like, I'm a talker. Like I always wanted to be a talk show host. That was always my dream, to get paid to talk. It sounds like a dream.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, literally. And so like, so I'd be having these like conversations, and then I would just say, I was like people would be saying like these gems, and then I would be having these epiphanies while we're talking, and I was like, I just wish we could like set up a camera and like talk about it, you know what I'm saying? And then I was like, you know what, let's do it, you know what I'm saying? And when I tell you, like the favor was crazy. So I contacted just some people that I knew. I built a team like by myself.
I know, that team was wild.
Girl, it was a lot. Like, and our first shoot was in my house. I lived in the hood, still do. It's fine. I love it. But I lived in the hood, and we blacked out my entire, because the set was supposed to be like a black background. Yeah,
so with some lights, right?
Yeah,
I saw you.
It was cool.
I was there.
It was cool. I thought it was great. I still love it. Like,
I was there. Let me not start singing.
We set up for 12 hours for one video.
Okay.
Like we knew what we were doing, but we had no idea what we were doing.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so that was like our first shoot, and then we were able to move into a studio, which was just the favor of the Lord.
That's when I kind of like came into the picture.
You started coming in.
Yeah.
And we really only did 6, and then a huge shift was happening in the community that I was in, and we felt really from the Lord that we needed to take a break, which I'm glad that we did, because I learned a lot within that break. We had 6 episodes out, I would say on average, each episode was getting about 300 views, which I was...
no marketing dollars, just like on their own.
Absolutely. Actually, it was like $5.
Wow,
I kid
okay.
you not. Like I promoted each video for about $5.
That's
because
wild.
That's like all I had.
Oh, there y'all have it. You can promote for really cheap. Get some results.
I did not pay anybody
Wow.
for the work that they put in. No, I didn't pay for the editing. It was really it was a passion project.
Yeah.
It was friends who seen the vision that I had and wanted to be a part of it. And I'm to this day grateful. If I ever win awards, I will still thank Marley and you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I literally would not be here if it wasn't for them. And so, but yeah, when it started, we were talking about trying to be a bridge between the Black community and the white community. And since then, the goal has kind of shifted.
Okay.
And which we can explain a little bit later. But anyways, so then we took that break, and then you approached me and you were like, and here's the thing. I really feel like the most important thing throughout this whole thing is that I've had cheerleaders in my corner.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think I would have continued. Like, I really feel like you've believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Oh, really?
Yes. No. Like,
I felt led by God.
Yeah.
And I had some people challenge me, like, are you sure you're hearing from God?
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean,
this is
at
not
the
your
end
money.
of the day, because
doesn't matter.
You are putting yourself at risk is kind of like a big dramatic phrase, but like you are putting a lot on the line for only 6 episodes that I've done. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I know you, and I believe in you, and I could see the
really
potential that you have, and I'm like, I want to sign up.
Yeah, and that is really when I seen because I didn't really know what consistency looks like. We're still figuring that out
you probably found it when you met me though, a little bit. Did I kind of bring it into the picture?
Because I think that, and so I think when I had to kind of bring this full circle, when I had started, my expectation was my life is getting started. And I really do actually feel like that's true.
Okay, well, explain. What does that mean? My life is getting started.
This was the first time in my life that I felt like I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
Wow.
Doesn't matter because I got a lot of pushback when I started, specifically from white people, because anytime you talk pro-Black to a predominantly white audience, which a lot of people who knew me were white.
Yeah.
Obviously I have my main community are Black people, but a lot of white people know me.
We're tuning in from the
exactly.
jump. Yeah.
Because what I did was I sent the first video to every single Facebook friend I had. And so I got a lot of messages. And to be honest, this has actually affected like my family relationship as well. Like this is not, that is one thing I was not expecting.
Yeah.
At first, my family was really like, look at Sierra doing something with her life. Like, oh my gosh.
Right, here we go.
And then once I started talking, it was a
Isn't
wrap.
that a funny thing, right? I have experienced that too as a musician. So when I first got started, people were like, wow, you're kind of good. Like, I'm like, yeah, I've been practicing really, really hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the closet. And then when I started touring, I would get friends coming up to me and telling me, when are you going to settle down? You're a gypsy. I had a guy friend, I can see him in my mind. I will not name him, from California, because that's where I'm from originally. He came up to me and he said, you are a gypsy, and I don't know if you'll ever find someone to settle down with,
that's
like a husband.
Devil.
And I was like, whoa, like, do you like me?
That's
like, why are you even saying this?
Right.
And so, yeah, it was really random. But it hurt.
Expose yourself.
It hurt because I felt called to that for like 4 years straight. I was touring for 4 years, and probably will go back to tour one day after like everything pandemic moves forward, you know? So like, yeah, I hear you on that. That expectation that like everyone's gonna love what you do. And then they don't, and there's a ton of pushback.
I think that the day one that we released, I actually had somebody message me, basically talking about the camera angles, and I cried. And like
they weren't good enough, or
I'll explain later.
Okay.
And so, but basically, yeah. But I actually cried, but I cry over everything, so it's like not that big of a deal. But like I really had to like realize that I have not picked an easy topic. I did not pick.
No, you didn't.
I'm not a beauty blogger. I'm not, mommy lifestyle. Things that look cute.
and are easy to do and wildly acceptable to society.
Especially to the white church, which you're
part of. I mean, like low key, high key.
I mean, I literally was employed by, since I was 16
by predominantly white churches. Ministry. Yeah.
And so, and I think that I kind of viewed controversy as cute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be controversial.
Yeah.
And then once I lost my whole community, like for videos,
people started turning their backs on you for real.
And I think that there's a cost to really stepping in, not only to what I'm, called to, but like my creative journey. Like I have this life to live, and if I'm not, following what I feel like the Lord's called me to, is all for nothing.